Hope you're good.
I'm fine. I will survive.
More than the result, more than how they were beaten today, what should probably be more concerning is that after this while, people still don't have an idea what his style is going to be.
The English Premier League is not a farmers league. Guardiola is sweeping everybody away, and whosoever wins the FA and Carabao Cup can now come out and say yes. Even if you give Pep the present crop of players in United, I am very sure he can't replicate what he did at Man City.
Bro, I need to call you there. You said if we agree with you or not, so I don't agree with you. He has sounded it out that his mind is no longer there.
There's so many agreed transfers for Osimhen last summer that the team did not accept. This guy is your star player. He just won you guys the Scudetto, which I've not won in 30-something years. What exactly is going on in the team for you to be comfortable? Do you understand? For you to be comfortable as a social media team to post.
And imagine a race where Max qualified third. You know, it would have been a different ball game because Baba would have just thrown spanner into the whole race, and you would see teammates fighting over things that they're not supposed to fight over.
Element show okay.
Exactly, hope you're good.
I'm fine. I will survive.
Olúwayé bright báwo ni o ṣe wá. Show wa. Bright. Oh, how you dey?
Na person wey no know body. This kind of matter go play.
Èèyàn mi bright, pàdí mi.
Akin, are you busy?
I'm just trying to put some things in place. But yeah, I think I'm good to go now. Yeah.
Wait, is your babe around before I start confessing what our fans have said?
No, my baby's not around.
Because one of our female listeners said, "Oh, they really like Akin's dentition." I'm like, it's not simple.
Dentition. Yeah, see, I know when people are capping. I know when people are lying. She dentition. Polish job. I mean, it was one so don't here. Oh, the way you got the gap. I want Kajo Ajari. Anything to so bad.
You understand? From dentition in the start now. I like your dentition icebreaker.
I'm sorry to say, whoever look, let me look into the camera. Whoever you are lying. I'm sorry to say, but
just say thank you and move on. You're supposed to be a gentleman.
Thank you. One more problem. I know my problem.
Hello guys, it's the All About Nothing podcast. LMJ is hopefully going to join us as soon as he sorts out his technical issues. Oh yeah, he is. Before we even, there's only one place to start. Let's not deceive ourselves. LMJ, we have to start from there. I didn't want to start because I was thinking it was going to be a different game, but you guys have occupied Twitter. I've been having fun for the last 45 minutes or there, but I think I've laughed my lungs out. So that's the best place to start from, like, because Polish on this podcast, that was our national anthem trial last season. But it is what it is. Ten Hag won the FA Cup against a drunk Man City and he kept his job. And
don't underrate. Please, don't underrate Ten Hag.
Then for some way, okay, I started the season, they've signed every player and what have you. And I remember after the first game, Poskos was saying in a particular fan cast that he hasn't seen anything different. It looks the same. And the Man United fans were arguing with him that it's a lie, he's sentimental, blah, 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 one thing, do one thing. And you're watching them today, you're thinking, it's still the same thing.
I think it's too early.
Okay.
I think it's too early to start making any conclusions or deductions for or against. I think if you are 3 games into the season, there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of things that are still shaking. Yes, you want to see what is the manager's philosophy, and you want to start to be able to identify what exactly the manager is planning to do. I think that's probably the more important aspect of what is going on. rather than even the defeat or the result. I think it's about fans not even understanding what exactly he's trying to do. And so I think that's probably the main, the main part, the main thing that fans are probably should be worried about. Because if you don't have a pattern, if you don't have a system, regardless of what that system is, it means that if we can't identify your system, it means that some of your players are probably confused. And if some of your players are confused, it means that you have situations whereby some players are playing out of possession, some players are playing out of position. There are so many things that it means. So I think it's too early to judge for or against, but we need to start seeing soon enough what exactly is planned or is supposed to taxes.
Bolish, I want to cut you for there. So there are two things you're saying right now that I think, would be on the minds of every listeners and viewers. So in a way, you're saying it's too early, number one. Number two, you're saying, there's a possibility that not a lot of the players, not every of the players actually are onto or understand his style of play. If I'm correct, you're saying like two separate things, and one would think that for the first one that you mentioned, they'll be like, okay, it's too early, but you have somebody that he played against today already hitting the ground running.
No. Let me explain what I mean.
Okay.
So there are two points I just made. The first point I just made is that it's too early to say for or against. Even for the Liverpool manager that played excellent football, it's too early to say. Even for Hansi Flick that is kicking on all that, it's too early to say exactly what by 15th game, by 18th game. There are so many times where even when they change the manager, maybe they sack a manager and a new manager comes in, that the ginger from the players, you see it first 4 games, even in the NBA. They always talk about new manager bounce. So sometimes 3-4 games is not enough sample size to really evaluate exactly how good a team is. That's I said, for the positive or for the negative, it's too early to put a stamp on the season. On the other side, on the flip side, I'm now saying that more than the result, more than how they were beaten today, what should probably be more concerning is that after this while, people still don't have an idea what his style is going to be. So now I'm now on the result aspect, or whether they will have a positive or negative season. I've moved away from there. I'm not talking about Ten Hag as a person and the way the team is playing. No one can really say this is Ten Hag's philosophy since he got to Manchester United. And if that is the case, it means there's a possibility that some of the players that are playing for him, some of them are also confused in the system and not knowing what they want to do. So that I'm separating. So I'm giving 2 different takes. One is too early to just be overly down or overly up, but also we are not even seeing anything to we need to have started seeing at least his style of play, even if they're not getting results, but that style that he wants to play, we need to see it.
I'm not talking. The reason why I even said nothing has changed is that I don't think anybody would go into the season. Not even LMJ, who is a Man United fan, would say, 3 games into the season is over. But Bright, I think the most damning aspect on Ten Hag right now is the manager in the other dugout has had 3 Premier League games. This is his 3rd Premier League game. And you don't need anybody to tell you. You can see what Liverpool are about. We saw Liverpool under younger club, high energy, gang press. They were a different side completely. Under Arne Slot, you can see, okay, this is who Liverpool are trying to be. This is who they are under this new manager. And this is Ten Hag's 3rd season. Yes, I don't subscribe to the overreaction that, sack him, blah, 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 all those things. It's just 3 games into the season. But this is his 3rd season. And you have a better chance of telling me the future than telling me what Erik Ten Hag's style of play or identity is.
Yeah, I think when we want to address a problem, the best thing is to start from the source of the problem. It's the fact that we've been talking about the same thing since Sir Alex Ferguson retired. We've been talking about it in different form, in different facets, in different magnitude, but the same thing. Now, if there's anything that has resonated all through that post-Fergie era, is the fact that there has not been any structure, there has not been any system, there has not been any plan. It has just been a random, what mathematicians call trial and error. It's the fact that I will make a vivid example. A vivid example is a team like Brighton, case in point, irrespective of the manager, irrespective of the player, the team already has a structure, a plan, a system that they just bring different components and fit them in, just like a Lego. So it's almost like you source for a block that will fit a particular position and you just simply pick and replace. But in the case of Man U, we had people like David Moyes that came, did his own Jabberwocky. Then we had Van Gaal that was very pragmatic, that was defensive, that everybody complained about his play style. Then you move from someone like Van Gaal, then you move to Scotia. Like, if you see the transitions we've made, Mourinho, like, you can't find a common factor among all this era. Like, there's no common factor whatsoever. They have been different personalities, different play styles, different, like, is from the Brighton I mentioned, from De Zerbi to the guy that is there now. Like, you can see a pattern, you can see a similarity, you can see a well thought out process. So I feel like until the foundation is sorted out, whatever is being built on whatever rocky foundation has been set already, we are just going to keep saying the same thing. It's the fact that what is Man U out to achieve? Another very similar case is Chelsea. They might fail to accept that. But it's the fact that they keep doing this trial by error. There are this temporal success within them. In case in point, Mourinho won the FA. I think Van Gaal won the FA. Van Gaal won the FA. I think Mourinho won the FA. This sporadic method can actually win you those tournaments where you just need to be good in one game, see the round robin format out, and just double your way to success. This is Ten Hag. He came out yesterday saying that other than Man City, United is the second most successful team when it comes to trophy. Technically, that statement is right. Technically, because why? The English Premier League is not a farmers league. Guardiola is sweeping everybody away, and whosoever wins the FA and Carabao Cup can now come out and say, yes, you know what? I'm in the second in command. Emilio Balola. So that is, like, when you look at those things critically, you would see that the main cause of the problem needs to be addressed first. I was thinking the Ineos group was going to address that, but from the look of it, it's looking like the Ineos group might need to call the shots, look for a manager that does not need to prove anything to anybody, such that if he gives a result like today's result, people will not go all over the moon and say, this is United, this is United. Oga, we need to come to reality that the present United, if we are being sincere, if you take Bruno out of that team, this present United, and maybe for the fact that Delete has been bang average. Okay, I'm even not including Delete. If you take Bruno out of that United, this present United is almost on par with a team like Wolverhampton Wanderers. Like, if we are being sincere. I was speaking with a United fan and he was like, he missed the fact that McTominay has left, Wan-Bissaka have left. And I just opposed that this our present team to the 2008 team, 2009 team, even the team that Barcelona ran rugged. Like, many of these players would not make it into that team. Like, they would not even make it to the bench. Imagine Fabio and Rafael. During those days, I used to shit on them a lot. Like, these guys are
let me interrupt you for a second. Aki, I'll come to you in a bit, but I get your point about the structure and everything. We'll probably come to that later. But my question now is, are you saying, before we go to the manager, the players that Man United have are not good enough? Are you saying that?
I've addressed the manager's issue. What I am saying is there's a general issue across board. The players, the present calibers of players are not good enough if we are being sincere with ourselves. Because
So what you're saying is that the structure and the players, you've not really now.
The structure brings the players. You know the structure actually.
I get that. What I'm saying is, for our viewers or listeners out there now, you've pointed out the fact that the structure, which everybody knows, that Man United are trying to build a new structure, the players. Are you completely eliminating the manager of blame? That's what I'm trying to ask you.
I am not. Everybody across board has their own portion of blame. From majorly the administrative branch of the club, because they actually make the calls, they make the decisions, and that's why you will see that when the club is in crisis, and they are to get reasonable solution, where the change starts from is the administrative board. So I feel like the administrative board has a huge chunk of the blame, but in the same sense, every portion of the team is down bad, is terrible at this moment. The manager, the scouting system, because let me make another very good example. We sold Scott McTominay for 25.4 million euros. That is United's fourth highest sales since Cristiano Ronaldo. I think Di Maria and Lukaku. Those are the only three sales that are more expensive than McTominay. And for that ridiculous amount, and we've had sales that have crossed £100 million, I think like 3 or 4 times. So it goes to show you that even business-wise, like we used to claim that they were good at, when it comes to recruiting and ability to turn up net profit over sales, they've not been able to do that. Meaning that the crop of players they have been bringing have been far from the valuation they've been paying for them. Because if United have been struggling to sell players they've been buying, it shows that the players are not up to par, if we are being sincere. Or at least somebody that is making calls in paying valuation that the opposition club are placing on players, that person needs to be jobless for the next decade. Because you can't tell me that since Fergie left, we've not been able to.
Okay, there's something I need to bring up. I'm sorry, Elemeji. I know this is a very important matter and a very serious matter, but I want us to make a pact on this podcast that we will not be going after people's job and making them jobless, and we need to allow people feed their children. We cannot decide that, okay, we want to stop people from feeding their families. That's something I think we should agree that we will not try to do on this podcast. Let us just make it a pact that, okay, we're going forward, though. People's source of livelihood, how they pay for their children's school fees, pampers, daycare, we will not take it from them. Let's just, let's analyze and leave that, go on, sorry. I just need to quickly point that out. That the tensions are high.
What I'm simply saying is that the problem is across board. It is not like you. For example, like I would love somebody else to have a different opinion on what I'm about to say, but even if you give Pep the present crop of players in United, I am very sure he can't replicate what he did at Man City.
Bro, I need to call to you there. You said if we agree with you or not, so I don't agree with you. And that is where we all need to like. Wait. Now you understand where I'm going. You understand I'm going to. Mm-hmm. There's a reason why I'm going somewhere. So that's where we need to also force the manager. There's nobody that is forcing your hand as a manager to just like continue with the crop of players that you met there. Let's be frank with ourselves. There's a reason why. There's a reason why. Listen. There's a reason why.
I said, wait now. I used it to prove the fact that we don't have a crop of players. Okay. I said with the present crop of players.
Okay, with the present crop of players. Now, with the present crop of players, we all know what Pep is going to do. Pep is probably going to like sell the half of the old team, or if not the old team, off. Let's be honest with ourselves.
So you are agreeing with what I'm saying.
Sorry, guys. I have I the power. Both of you are making a mistake. Both of you are making a mistake. Elemeji and Akin. The team today had 6 players signed by Ten Hag. The starting 11 had 6.
That's what I'm saying now.
2 he met at the club. The remaining players were academy players. Rashford Mainu and the likes of other academy. 6 players signed by Eric Ten Hag.
Okay.
So this whole
Let's
concept
do a round robin now.
6.
Let's do a round robin on all those players, those 6 players like that he bought. Now, like we can say a Martinez is not a bad option. Number one, Anthony is worse.
That
we can all agree.
Anthony did not even start. Anthony did not even start.
No, because
that's from Onana. That's from Onana.
Okay, let's start from Onana. Onana.
Onana was my name.
See, I have to be honest with everyone on this podcast, and I know for a fact like this video is probably going to be on Twitter, and I know for a reason like I've always been a fan of Onana before he came to Man United. I won't lie to you. I honestly don't know where it all went wrong or anything. I can't speak.
Bad vibes.
I don't just know. Prior to him coming to even Onana at Ajax, Onana at Inter Milan, we didn't see any of this issue. Let's be honest with ourselves. So now, if we're going to the next players, we've mentioned 3 players.
You probably were not watching. Go and watch the Ajax game against Spurs again, and maybe you would watch the Ajax
out games. I'm sorry.
Wait now.
So I think it's unfair. It's unfair what you're doing.
Everybody calm down. I have a solution to this problem.
Wait, I'm coming. Onana.
He said he never saw signs. He said he never saw signs of what is happening.
Wait. Inter got to the Champions League final against Man City in the summer of 2023, if I'm not mistaken.
And what happened?
We lost.
Onana was one of the best players.
If you don't want, are you going to let me finish?
Continue.
One of the reasons was nominated for goalkeeper of the tournament. One of the reasons we even got to the final in the first place was because of Andre Onana, who we signed on a free from Ajax. It was absolutely, you don't have to talk, you don't have to smile. I saw the dude play almost every other day. It was absolutely outstanding. Do you understand? It was absolutely outstanding. He has showed up at Man United now, and things are a different way. I'm going to point out another example that I saw earlier in the game. Before we start talking about, I'm not saying the players are great enough to take Man United to where they are going. In the first half, Casemiro made 2 mistakes that led to a goal. They took Casemiro out. Toby Collier comes in for him. The third goal that Liverpool scored, Kobe Mainoo found himself in the same situation that Casemiro had found himself in the first half. And it led to another goal. At one point, do we start asking ourselves that, okay, yeah, maybe these players are not the best things in sliced bread, they're not as good as Man United standard. But at what point do we start asking ourselves that, are we putting these players in the best positions to succeed? Or is that not what coaching is about? I'm asking.
I know the solution. See, I know the solution. See, we already talked about Man United last season, this season. We've had extensive conversations about United, about the problem with United and what is going on with United. Tensions are high right now. People want some people sacked. I feel like we should protect people's jobs, but that's a conversation for another day. But I feel like there's bad vibes going on in the locker room. I'm not even talking about structural problem that's going on. And I think they need to get somebody, maybe look for one of those Arsenal Academy boys that is Yoruba. They need to sign him for one purpose alone. Just come and play Afrobeats in the locker room. Play Ira Star. No, they throw bad vibes. Play in the locker room. Play Ashake. Play, Fireboy.
If that doesn't work, I have another alternative. If that one doesn't work, I have another alternative.
I have another alternative. The mood,
in the locker room, if that one doesn't work, if bullish idea doesn't work, in the locker room, they can also burn some sage. Call certified.
See, don't worry. Just trust me on this. Just play, for Mashake. Oh yeah. That one alone. In the next 3 games,
we have to move on from
the next 3 games, you see the difference. I'm telling you.
We need to move on from this. We'll revisit Man United as the season goes on. The deadline day was on Friday. I think the biggest surprise was.
It's not a surprise now. We predicted Sterling. Why are you about to make it like it's the biggest?
I'm not talking
surprise?
about Sterling. I'm talking about Victor Osimhen. I don't care about the fact that you signed Sterling. You'll be fine. That's your own problem. The biggest surprise was Osimhen didn't get the move, whether it was to Chelsea, whether it was to Saudi Arabia, because now, for some weird reason, Napoli decided they're not going to register him for their Serie A squad. They are not in Europe, so that means he's automatically not playing for them from now until January at least. The Saudi Arabia window closes in sometime in September, I think 14th of September or so. Something could still happen on that front, I don't know. But the way I see it now is, I don't know where it went wrong for Osimhen, because now, the sporting director came out yesterday and said Osimhen said he doesn't want to play for the team anymore. And there's no, we don't know how true that is, whether he said that to the management or stuff like that. Because it kind of feels like there's a conscious effort by Napoli to get rid of Osimhen by all means.
No,
because I don't think Antonio
I don't think it's a conscious effort. I think there are some things we all admit. Everyone involved has to admit here, and let's be logical and realistic now. I think before now, Osimhen has made it like he has sounded it out that his mind is no longer there. To me, as a player, as a professional in the sport, not like I'm not talking about myself now. I'm talking about in reference to these players. They need to be able to like just calm down. It's not everything that needs to be said. It's not everything that needs to be expressed. Emotions can be high, definitely, but you also want to be able to like just look at it like what's actually first important. Playing football is important to you, regardless of where that has to be, where that is. Think of it that in that sense. So when you go there, so that's one of my problem. And nobody can actually blame Napoli or even Conte. Conte can't feed a player that his mind is no longer in the team. Let's be honest with ourselves. Wait. I'm going. So what do you want to say?
So the thing about this conversation with player transfers and agreement or disagreement with the team, one thing I've learned, especially from the reason why I enjoy the Netflix quarterbacks, receivers, and those series, is that there are so many things that go on that happen during the course of a season internally that we as fans, we don't know about. And 90% of those things, the players most times will not come out and tell us exactly what is going on. So for example, what that receivers taught me is that you can have a completely exact view of something and you think you're 100% sure, and all your excellent reporters and all the analysts, all of them will give you an opinion that you agree with and to look viable, and you think that is the way it is and that is what is going on. But when you now go inside the back and see what is happening, you now start to unravel some things that you were not privy to. Why do I say that? We were here during last season when the the social media account for Napoli were uploading some incredibly ridiculous things about Osimhen. And all of us were wondering, we're like, this guy is your star player. He just won you guys the Scudetto, which I've not won in 30-something years. What exactly is going on in the team for you to be comfortable? Do you understand? For you to be comfortable as a social media team to post this, and there's no repercussion about your own player, not an opposite. You're not left. That's number one. Number two, we always know that De Laurentiis is a tough person to negotiate with. Over the years, anytime it comes to transfers to De Laurentiis, there are so many players that have tried to leave at different points in their career. De Laurentiis will make it difficult for anybody to leave. He made the Amsic at the point when Amsic wanted to leave. Later, Amsic just decided, I will just stay. So many players like that. De Laurentiis is a difficult president to deal with. There's so many agreed transfers for Osimhen last summer that the team did not accept because they were like below evaluation. And I feel like the only reason why Osimhen has a bit of a bad press right now, I'm not like, it's not as if I know all the gist or I know anything about the issue. I'm just trying to Akin's point. Osimhen is a back-to-back repercussion of something that has gone on. One, there's some video that was captured in the dressing room that nobody knows exactly what prompted that reaction from him. Two, the back and forth he had with Finidi on Instagram, that kind of twisted his image with Nigerians. Then 3, I feel, I don't know, I have no information, but I feel like if Osimhen wanted to go to Saudi, the deal probably would have been done since. I feel like Saudi is the one willing to pay what Napoli wants, but Osimhen at the core. That's why when I see some posts on Twitter criticize the guy that wants to go and languish in Saudi, I'm like, guys, this guy has not come out to say anything. I feel like if it was Saudi that was his option that he was really wanting to go to, I think that the deal would have been done probably 2 or 3 weeks ago. I think it's because he's trying to find a way to navigate his way to Chelsea, because I think he wants Chelsea. He has always said it from even when he was still a younger player that he wants to play Chelsea, and Chelsea maybe cannot afford to pay not even the salary now, the transfer fee. Because that's one thing nobody's talking about. Chelsea is trying to loan him. Napoli wants their money. So the whole saga, I think the reason why he's in what he's facing now is because he's trying to say he wants to play in Chelsea, he wants to stay in Europe, and that's why there's a bit of a wobble. So this is my own opinion. I'm not saying I have any information. I might be completely wrong, but one thing I've learned from seeing all these conversations behind the scene with players, like when I saw Devante Adams talking about the quarterback, talking about the coaching and what was going on in the Raiders, I'm like, what we thought was going on was completely different. So I just feel like, yes, Napoli has a right to do whatever it is they want to do. It's their squad, it's their team. But I feel like the treatment of the guy, even before all this saga, has not shown that Napoli themselves were fully fully committed to him. Because you said the player said he doesn't want to play for you. What happened after that? Those series of posts came out on Instagram. What did Napoli do? Was there a message from them? Was there like a proper investigation? Was there anything to show you that this Napoli, they are solidly 100% behind Osimhen? So those are the kind of things you kind of look at. And if you're a player, yes, they pay your salary, but you make a lot of money for the team also. All the fans that come, they buy the merch, they make a lot of money, they fill the stadiums. If the team is not doing well, yes, there are some clubs that, yes, they have diehard fans. But if the team is not doing well, they're not going to Champions League, they're not doing well in cup competitions, they're not trying to win games, if attendance will drop, participation will not be as effective. So those things are also important. The players also put their blood, sweat, and tears into giving the best results for the squad. So I feel like it's not a one-dimensional thing, and there are so many angles that this particular saga can take, even going forward.
Let me just before I come to you in a second, I want to point out that Akin mentioned something for the sake of our viewers. I think what he was trying to talk about, Osimhen saying his mind was not there. Osimhen didn't point out that his mind was not there. What Osimhen said publicly, which he was castigated for at that point, was time will tell. I've made up my mind about my decision, but time will tell what I will do. Blah. It's what players say every time. Players say it every time. There are players that have said, "Oh, I would like to leave." Pogba in the summer of 2019 said publicly before Man United went on preseason that, "Oh, I want a new challenge." He wanted to leave. He didn't get the move he wanted. But at no point did Man United decide that, "Oh, we're not going to register you, we're going to banish you out of the squad, blah, blah, blah," and all those things. Because sometimes when clubs do these things whereby they treat players like crap and they want to sell them, the club say it's about business. But when a player does it, he's not loyal. And this whole comment of, yes, Osimhen said what he said about Finidi on Instagram Live. Players have done worse and they've gotten moves and they've moved on. And Aki was trying to mention Conte not trying to reintegrate. I think this is well above Conte. I think this is from De Laurentiis himself. Because Bolish pointed out something that another journalist confirmed, that there were clubs that came in last summer and said, "We want Victor Osimhen." And De Laurentiis was like 140, 150, one whatever. Some ridiculous amount. I'm like, "Oh, we're not paying this money." And they moved on to other targets. And now you want to get rid of the player. He said he doesn't want to go to Saudi. Yes, I understand that Osimhen is going to collect his salary, but Akin pointed out something that as a footballer, you still want to play. And this treatment, I've even completely forgotten about the whole social media banter, all the rubbish that we saw last season, where the official clubs,
that's the cocoa now. Like for me, this is where I fault Osimhen. Is the fact that you are dealing with somebody like De Laurentiis. He has this kind of history in the past, so he should have acted better in this. First and foremost, they started pushing Kvaratskhelia. They started pushing him like the Prince of La Liga.
Yes.
Like like the face of La Liga. Like, and whenever you try to rebut that claim, they'll be like, but he wouldn't have scored with that Kvaratskhelia. And I'm like, are you people kidding me? They started with that one. Then the social media post. I felt like Osimhen was in the bad in extending that contract. By now, it would have just been easy. He would have just gone for free. And whosoever can match his personal times, I would have just gone there. I can assure you that clubs like PSG will still try to throw their hearts in the even Barcelona might even try to throw their hearts in the game if he was
free.
If it was free,
yeah.
Because the only burden will be his wages. Sure, you get, and there will be. They've done it before now. They even did it to their best player. Even Messi said they are stealing his father. They are stealing Gudogan. So they know how to do their thing now. So, but but the complexity was in that contract. Is still bounded to the club. So I felt like, see, it's easy to say. It's easy for people to blame Osimhen and say, Kinika is disloyal, is Kinika. Oga, white players have done worse. But the fact is, he didn't place himself in a situation whereby he would have all the leverage. Look at Pogba now.
Yeah, leverage.
He came back for a ridiculous amount of money. Subsequently, players were now saying the club bought him to spite a manager. Like, you can't just imagine that. So, like, it's just quite unfortunate that Osimhen is in this kind of situation, because I feel like as a footballer, if you've played football anytime, any form of football, against FST, one of my greatest regrets was for more than half of the match, I was outside. I was jumping. I was in pains, in literal pains, because I could not affect the match. And that's just a match. Now imagine going a whole season. Getting paid or not makes no difference. Makes no difference. It's the fact that the 8th player in the Ballon d'Or, the African Footballer of the Year, is disrespected like this. He has made threats that he's not going to buy African players again. All the best to African players that go to Napoli.
In time before we move on from this particular segment of the episode, it will be remiss of us, because our Formula One fans are complaining that we don't talk too much about it, and they want to talk more Formula One. Because LMJ, I don't know if you saw the race this afternoon, earlier in the afternoon, and sometimes you have to like throw a spanner in the race. Sometimes you have to throw some things into the race, because qualifying, we saw how good McLaren was as a team. Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri we saw, okay, George Russell separating the Ferrari boys before Hamilton came 6th. Then during the race itself, Oscar Piastri showed that, okay, I can go past Lando Norris. And to everybody felt like, initially was, it's a one-stop race. Then at some point, everyone was like, it's a two-stop race. Then Ferrari were like, it's still a one-stop race. I will die on this hill. Is it that we win or we lose woefully? In the sense that we lose so badly, like everybody will start dragging us on Twitter. And lo and behold, it worked. Leclerc won the race. They went for one stop. Carlos Sainz was able to secure 4th place. Hamilton finished 5th. The McLaren boys of Oscar Piastri and Norris finished 2nd and 3rd. And now you're wondering, okay, is this a masterpiece by Fred Vasseur, who is team principal of Ferrari, or everything just played into Ferrari's hands today?
I wouldn't call it a masterpiece, but I would say this is one of the times and places where experience comes into play. It's the fact that no matter how terrible you are, if you've done something over and over and over and over and over again, you almost have a mirror image of a likely way to replicate it. So I feel like that's what happened today. It's not a matter of genius. It's the fact that they've been able to manage races for years and they know the likely outcome. Now, I feel like the only thing that would have messed up today entirely was if the weather was different from what it usually was at this time of the year. So that would have required them to change tires 2 times. But today they were able to manage it because they've seen it before. And I just felt like people that were supposed to turn up, because imagine a race where Max qualified 3rd. You know, it would have been a different ball game, because Baba would have just thrown spanner into the whole race, and you would see teammates fighting over things that they're not supposed to fight over, and you just see Verstappen overtake somebody and go to the first position. So I feel like qualifiers had determined most of the missing piece in the jigsaw. So the qualifier was not too turbulent, or the qualifier played into their hands for them to be able to stick to that pragmatic plan. Because if it was, if you had somebody like Alonso that sometimes don't care about the rules in a place like fifth, and Verstappen was like not far from the front row, Oga, whatever they did today would not have worked.
Bolly, I know initially, I know last season we whether we like it or not, the views for Formula One dropped. Even on this pod, we somewhat lost interest. When we show up, we just say, "Oh, Verstappen won. Thank you very much." But this year, it seems to be giving us that vibe of Formula One of old, or what we were promised initially when those rule changes came up a few years back, at least back in 2020. Now we've seen different winners. We've seen different. Yes, Verstappen is still at the top. Lando Norris is second, trying to chase him for the World Championship. But the constructors title, I think you have just 1 point separating Red Bull and McLaren. Ferrari are in the mix as well. They're on 400 points. Mercedes are in the mix somewhat. Like the competition is there. Now you feel like, okay, come race weekend, whether it's Saturday or Sunday, qualifying or the race proper, you can't just sit and expect, oh, somebody's going to announce that Verstappen has gotten pole position and he has won the race anymore. Now you have to like pay attention, which is what we all like. And at this point, one can only say Formula One is going to be better for it.
I think that because no one likes to watch a foregone race. The last season was brutal. Last 2 seasons actually was brutal. No one is interested in watching a race. There will be no fights. The whole from pole to pole, from pole to flag, no competition, no it doesn't inspire your willingness to observe what is going on. Now with the way the teams are competing, it seems there's a parity. Yes, Verstappen ran rugged at the beginning of the season, but it looks like everybody has come down to it, and he's predicting like a more interesting season next year, because now Hamilton is going to Ferrari. There's some changes everywhere, and you're excited to see what is going to happen, with the races. But the fact that the constructors are all still battling for the title, and there's still enough points on the table for any constructor to actually make it and be, in the race, makes it very exciting. It changes the dynamics of the team principals' instructions and the engineers, the way they behave. If you don't have anything you're fighting for, meaning you're not going to win constructor championship, you're not going to win anything. Sometimes in a race when you could have tried harder, you could have made some changes or enter the pit at the time, do things strategically, you're probably more relaxed because regardless of what happens, you have the same outcome. So it's exciting to see. Hopefully, the dynamism and the battles that are currently ongoing, we see more of them, going towards the end of the season. But I've been impressed with Piastri. Yes, McLaren has had a good car, but Piastri as a very young driver, what he has been doing in that car is very impressive for someone who is very, very young. I like
because it's starting to feel like Lando Norris has like a competitor in his teammates, not just in Verstappen.
In his team, yeah, exactly. So that's why I've been impressed with how the races have been done. So it's exciting altogether. Hopefully, we want a situation whereby, because as much as it's very competitive now, it still almost feels like for the drivers' championship, the constructors' championship is obviously up in the air, but the drivers' championship looks almost sealed because he had given himself enough gap, and there's a lot of variety of winners. So it's not like there's a second person also pacing behind him. Yes, Lando Norris has had a couple of opportunities to close the gap where he was leading a lot of races, and then all of a sudden something happens and doesn't finish with a win. But it gives good prospect for next year. Hopefully, we can see a complete season, both in the constructors and the drivers' championship.
That brings an end to this particular section of the show. To our fans out there, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And you can also listen to us on audio wherever you like to get your podcast, Spotify, Apple Pod. Thank you very much.